Big Blue Sun Museum of Solar Cooking, based in Minneapolis. We're in sunny Sacramento, which is almost the birthplace of the movement here in California and the States. I was just visiting Ed Pijak yesterday, who put on the first conference in Stockton. What an education! What a amount of history. And here with Riad Bahhur, we're going to talk a little about solar cooking. I usually have just a few questions and then let you riff. And one of them is, how did you get into solar cooking, solar at all, and then solar cooking? And we'll talk about the cooker you got here, and then maybe just a few other ideas like the future of promoting and so forth. So how did you find out about solar and get into it?
So I have to say, I have to credit my grandmothers and great-grandmothers, because they did a lot of cooking with the sun, right? Without cookers, without fancy cookers or anything, but they, for example, made things like tomato paste in the sun, dried fruits, of course, and all sorts of things. So I was always intrigued by the idea of using the energy of the sun to cook. And when I moved to Sacramento, I happened to walk by Solar Cookers International one day. I was like, well, what's that? So I looked into it, and I realized that there was a whole world of actual cookers that people use to cook. So I had in the back of my mind that I would make one. I never really had time to do it, or maybe it was too mysterious of a process initially, until Solar Cookers International had an international conference here, and through that conference I met a few people, including Sharon Cousins and Mary Buchenik, who came here actually and hung out in the patio, and Sharon actually made me a simple solar cooker. That was a variation on this design, actually same design but different materials, and I used it quite a bit for a few years and was intrigued by it, and was amazed actually that I could cook so easily with it. I was amazed at just how intense both the heat and the sun.
Yeah. Great, and this is the model that.
So this is one I made just a few months ago. I kept in touch with Sharon, and I contacted her and said, the cooker you made for me fell apart. I'd like to make a new one. So she recommended that I get this giant stainless steel bowl, and essentially make the same design that she made, but using a more durable base, coated with aluminum foil and some tape, and then a poster board reflector. Everything else is exactly the same. What I really like about her design is its simplicity and accessibility. And she told me when she first gave me the cooker that anybody anywhere in the world pretty much could make this cooker through available materials, including a straw basket, right? With the right shape.
Sure.
And it's basically, a reflector, a base. I use this flat metal pan with a cover. It's black. I use these clamps to clamp it shut, and then put it in an oven roasting bed. And I put it on top of this, inverted glass bowl, so that more reflection can happen. And it's amazing how quickly it heats up. I usually I've done lots of things in it. Sliced vegetables and olive oil, almost any vegetable, in a couple hours would be done. I've cooked focaccia in there, quiche. Actually, a pie plate will fit right in there, and it'll heat up really nice as well. This summer, this is the easiest, it heats up the quickest, but I also this summer used some black clay stew pots.
Sure.
Inside two glass bowls, and that worked really well, especially on those 100-degree long sunny days.
Well, when you got the nice black surface, and you got time. I mean, time is on our side with the slower cookers. So.
Exactly, yeah. So on the long summer days, I would put the clay pot out like at 9 a.m. and then put food in it around 11 a.m. You still have plenty of time to cook.
Sure.
I did a seafood stew. The fish came out perfectly cooked, tender, and
I had a prejudice against panel cookers coming into the whole racket because I just thought, it takes forever. I just don't see how they can be as powerful. But then I got the hot pot, the solar household energy hot pot, with its fold-up reflectors. They're flat, kind of trapezoids, and then they're the enamel bowl that's inside the polycarbonate bowl, or the tempered glass bowl, and then a glass lid. Yeah. And we put stew in once at maybe 9 in the morning. I pointed it toward about solar noon, which was probably about 1 or 1:15. And 5 o'clock, the beef was just, it was almost like Jell-O. It was so
amazing.
Tender.
Like a slow cooker.
Yes, it's okay. I get it. But that convinced me. And that was about the point where I turned the corner for collecting, where I realized, well, I'd already got 30 or 40 of those ones, and I had a handful of the panel cookers, but I started to collect them as well and add them. And of course, since then, vacuum tube cookers and so forth. So,
which are pretty amazing too.
Yeah.
Let me show you. So I actually was a little lazy when I made this, and it took me a while to make the reflector. So let me show you what I used.
Sure. Okay, good.
So before I had a chance to make these reflectors, I just used this car windshield reflector.
Oh, of course.
And wasn't sure it would work, but it actually worked really well. And then I bought this for $1.99. This flash guard, and I used it as a front reflector. I just kind of put it on there, and it made a difference as well. You don't need it, but it made a difference. It was fun to play around with it.
Yeah. Aluminum, one of the most highly reflective metals out there. Probably the most highly reflective. And any extra oomph you can give it. Yeah. Well, there's nothing more accessible than this. The great thing with this too is you could probably just point it at noon, right? Maybe only move it twice a day.
Yeah, I have summers off. So I just kind of come out every hour and move it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that was the first thing I realized when I got cookers was gardening, weeding. It gets done when I solar cook. It doesn't get done partly because if it's cloudy or rainy, of course it wouldn't be anyway. But when it's sunny and I'm cooking, I get everything else done too.
You know, the fantastic thing about solar cooking and meeting Sharon and Mary is just the sense of community among the people who do solar cooking, not only for this, because you have something in common, but I think because it's such a good force in the world, environmentally, socially. It's led to a collaboration with Mary Buchenik and Jennifer Glassman with our makerspace at Sac City College.
Yes, I want to hear more about that.
Yeah. So we'll go over there in a minute, but it's Mary and I. Actually, when I was making this, I reached out to Sharon and Mary this summer, and I wanted some advice from both of them about, should I look into another kind of solar cooker as well. And so Mary and I got to talking, and I think it was her that said, it would be great to create some media that would help people just be able to sort of make their own cookers, the different styles. So I said, well, why don't we? We have a maker space. I'm interested, the students at the college are interested in environmental issues for sure. And so from that sprang this project called Global Makers, right? And so we've got 7 solar cooker makers around the world working on short videos about their different styles of solar cookers. And one of the goals is to find out, kind of what you're doing. How did you get into it? Why do you do it? And how do you do it?
Exactly.
As well. And that's going to lead to a competition in the spring in our makerspace with students making their own solar cookers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So about, you said 7? How many?
7 makers around the world, from Lesotho to Haiti to Mexico to Italy to California. We count California as a country.
Sure. It's the 4th largest economy in the world. Wow. Yeah. No, that's great. I mean, when we met and
Kenya too.
Okay. Yeah. When did my session with Mary and Jennifer, that was one of the first things. I got to make sure I get that in, because it's a partnership. And I think the networking is really starting to solidify it's been out there, but it's been kind of piecemeal, and
Yeah.
you know, you might have the Faro conference in Portugal, and then all of a sudden you read about one that just happened in India, and oh wait,
Yeah.
I missed that one. You know, so I think we're getting better at that. We're coordinating and so forth. Other comments I've gotten now with you're like number 34 or so, 37 for the videos, where it's just the positivity. There's I mean, people might say, well, I'm not so sure about that design, like on the network, the Facebook page. But there'll always be, like, in terms of questions, you know, how did you get there? Are you sure that's a good choice to have polystyrene or, you know?
I've noticed that.
Yeah.
The tone is very supportive and
Yes.
friendly.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Well, so cool this. And have you done any other cookers or?
No, this
we're gonna focus on
is it. This is. I have a vacuum. I have a tube cooker,
Sure.
but I haven't used it yet.
Okay.
Because the summer was so sunny, I just used this. But I'm planning to use that in the winter.
Cool. So the future, what are your theories, philosophies on promoting? How do we get people to adopt it? That's kind of the raging question on the Facebook.
Well, it's part of our collaboration at the college. I mean, we're a community college, so we're the people's college, right? And I think our students are already interested in this kind of technology. When I share with students, even now, that that I do this and I show them photos, they're really into it.
Sure.
So I think exposing young people to the technology, to the designs, is the way to go.
Yes. So one student at a time, or a class full at a time?
Yeah, and connecting it to, in my case I teach global studies, so connecting it to social, environmental, cultural needs globally. We also don't know when we might need solar cookers to pasteurize water, right? For example, that might be an actual survival need at some point. Hopefully not too soon.
Right.
But we never know.
We're spoiled here.
Power outages have already been happening in California every summer. So
when I think of the water table depleting and you know, what's left, are we going to set up more water systems with the rivers that are shrinking, or what is left?
Who knows what the future holds? But the more we can do and teach about this kind of technology, the better, right?
Sure.
More tools in your toolbox, right?
Yes.
So,
do you cover the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals?
yes.
Okay,
in
great.
The Global Studies Program, for sure.
Wilden Fishman, who's on the board of the American Solar Energy Society, did an episode with her. That's all she did, all 17. You know, how solar cooking meets all 17. Some to a large degree, some to a small degree, but economic independence.
Yes.
So you name it, so it's all there. Yeah.
Yeah, well, even just owning your own time. I mean, if you have to spend half the day looking for foraging for firewood to cook your meals, and suddenly you don't have to do that, that's liberating in and of itself.
Sure. Well, great. I can't think of anything else to ask here. Anything else you'd like to say before we pick up sticks and go to the makerspace?
Not that I can think of. I think we taught some more over there.
Sure.
at the college.
Great. Well, thanks. The lighting thing.
Yeah.
This thing is glowing. It's got the uplighting to you.
Oh, okay.
It's almost got you almost have the Einstein,
Definitely today have the Einstein look. So some days the sides are more Einstein than other days.